What you're about to watch is dangerous and downright stupid. Do not try this at home. This is the fuel tank we're going to use for Klaus. Keen-eyed viewers might notice that it's the original unit. We could have made a custom aluminium tank like this one from our low-cost build, but it would have taken a lot of work to get something to fit just right. Instead, we're going to take the standard tank and fill it with foam. And this is where the problem starts. Enter the fuel tank diorama. The standard fuel sender works like this. As the level rises, the float lifts the arm and that changes the resistance on the sensor. This sender uses two arms due to the complicated shape on the tank. If we put foam in it, it'll stop the movement of the sensor arm. Our best bet is to use this slider style unit often seen in boats. The float goes up and down with the fuel level and is self-contained, and it doesn't matter if we throw a wet sponge at it. So first we need to get the tank to a point we can work on. That means a lot of washing, and waiting, and washing, and waiting. With our prayers said and our wills written, it's time to open the tank up for its new fittings. The hole saw does the job for the sender unit, even if it does try and take your wrist with it. We don't have a hole saw anywhere near big enough to make the access hole, so it's chain drill and grinder time. The glitter maker finishes the job by smoothing the edges out. Now that we've got the holes, we need to make the fittings to plug them up. We already had the fittings for the sender unit, but that means we need to make the access cover. And the only steel we've got big enough is this lump of 150mm diameter. This was not a job for the faint of heart. We decided to machine the access holes and lid as one piece, including threading the holes, to alleviate any alignment issues we may have down the track. Now it's time to weld everything in place. There's something stressful about welding a fuel tank, even if you know it's been cut open already. The sender ring and baffle gets tacked in place first before we run around it slowly so we don't build up enough heat to warp the tank. The same treatment applies to the access hole, building up a layer of tacks. If you thought this was going to be a tutorial by expert welders, you've come to the wrong place. After leak testing, we can move on to getting fuel out of the tank and into the engine. Here's the mock-up of our fuel system. We're going to be running two pumps for that added bit of redundancy mid-stage. The fuel comes in from the tank here, through the filter, then back through one of the pumps before finally going to the engine bay. We're using aluminium to build our system, which means we need aluminium weld-in hose ends. My 2-minute Google brought up nothing, so it's onto the lathe instead. The ends fit snugly into the tube and we can weld it up. Our TIG is more suited to building ships than welding thin wall tubing, but it gets the job done. Now that our fuel rails are made, we can assemble the mock-up again, this time with hose clamps. Unfortunately, cardboard probably isn't the future in automotive engineering. To hold the fuel filter, we're going to 3D print the bracket, because why not? A little epoxy holds it into place on the baseboard, and we can bolt the pumps in after forgetting to turn the camera on for welding. The zip tie holds the filter into its bracket, and that's done for now. To control the pumps, we're going to fit a switch nearby rather than within the cabin. We've been on the receiving end of a tired driver flicking the random switches, and it's not fun. We're also going to fit these LED indicators to tell us which pump should be working. It all slots neatly into a 3D printed bracket. Our pump's sitting in place, ready to be wired up, and the tank looks good after a lick of paint. For the moment, we'll leave it there and move on to the next thing.